Good afternoon, everyone. First of all, I would like to apologize for being late. We have some technical issues, but is everything right now? So, welcome to our second annual meeting of the Steering Committee of UFRPE Capes-PrInt program. This is for all of us, not only for us working the steering committee or the graduate programs, but also for all our community to listen, to hear and discuss what our graduate programs are doing in terms of internationalization. So in these 3 days, we'll be discussing our internationalization among us in the UFRPE, but also with our foreigners visitors that will be here assessing your program and recommending us some improvements for increasing our internationalization. My name is Clístenes Nascimento. I am a member of the local steering committee, along with Professors Elvira Pedrosa, Enio Farias, Leucio Câmara, and also Professor Maria Madalena, who is also our Dean for Graduate Programs. Making part of this steering committee, we also have our international members and the external committee, we would say, Professor Michael Maths from the University of North Texas, Professor João Pedroso, University of Coimbra, and Professor Lawrence Datnoff from Louisiana State University. We are very grateful to these international colleagues that will be joining us for evaluating our programs and discussing with us in the end of this virtual meeting the ways you can, increase our internationalization, the whole university and each of our programs. And today's schedule, we'll have the presentation of 7 graduate programs. The head of these programs will have 10 minutes to present their result in the last year regarding internationalization, of course. And then you have an additional 10 minutes in which the members of the steering committee, especially the international members, will pose questions to you to discuss how we can improve each of our internationalization programs. At this moment, I would like to invite Professor Maria Madalena, our Dean of Graduate Programs, to make greetings for the audience.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is with great satisfaction that today we start the second annual meeting of the Steering Committee of UFRPE Capes-PrInt program. UFRPE's commitment to the internationalization of its graduate programs. I would like to initially greet and welcome our international colleagues, representatives of the International Advisory Committee, Professor Lawrence Datnoff, Professor Michael Metz, and Professor João Pedro, as well as the afternoon speaker, Professor Jess Ntaibi-Wawa, who will give a lecture how to increase the internationalization of graduate programs during COVID-19 times. Despite the difficulties we experienced in 2020 and 2021 so far, the UFRPE remained motivated in its mission to internationalize its graduate programs, and much has been accomplished during this almost of 1.5 years of pandemic. We conduct an important self-assessment of the performance of UFRPE Capes-PrInt program in 2020 with thematic seminars, meetings with colleagues who participate in the PVNE abroad in 2019, students who went to participate in the PVSE, and the professors who participate in missions abroad in the last month. I wish you all an excellent international meeting in the 3 afternoons ahead of us. Let us to have a great meeting, completely fruitful of all of us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Madalena, for your words. As I said before, you have 7 presentations from our graduate programs this afternoon. But after that, as Professor Madalena already announced, we will have a lecture from the Professor Jess Lutabingua from the Appalachian State University. I think he joined us from the beautiful mountains of North Carolina. I'm not sure, Professor Jess, if you are there, but I love the place. And for introducing him to the audience, I'd like to invite Professor Leucio Câmara.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here this afternoon. And today we are pleased to welcome to Dr. Jessie Lutabingua, a very special friend from Appalachian State University. Jessie Lutabingua has more than 30 years of experience of international education and development. As part of his work designed to make difference in people's lives, he has been involved in numerous programs around the world, especially in developed countries. He holds a PhD in public administration and master degree in international development management, and also the bachelor degree in business administration economics with a minor political science. Dr. Lutabingua has conducted research on local government and traditional leadership in South Africa, the decentralization of local government in Alabama and also in South Africa, and African non-governmental organization, and the role public policy advocacy. He is a member of NAFSA, Association of International Education, and has served in various leadership capacities with association both national and regional levels. He is also a member of Association of International Education Administrators. Today, he will be sharing with us his expert opinion about how to increase the internationalization of graduate programs during the COVID-19 times. Professor Lutabingua, please.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Lucio. I want to say to all of you, boa tarde. Tudo bem?
Tudo bem.
I have to confess that ends the level of my Portuguese. So please don't ask me to speak another word of Portuguese because my vocabulary is finished.
Okay.
I want to thank you, Lucio, for inviting me to participate in this meeting and the dialogue with you on the issues related to internationalization of graduate programs post-COVID-19. I've been following news about the state of COVID in Brazil. It has been very challenging, the same as we have been challenged here in the US. But at least in the US, we are making a U-turn somehow, and cases are trending downward. But I think in Brazil, you are still challenged. And I hope that you'll find your way out of this pandemic, which is very devastating. It has been devastating for, at least for those of us who work in international education. Our work has almost completely stopped, but we still try to find a way in which we can engage globally. I hope Brazil will get back on its track and overcome this pandemic. So that is the context of our discussion this afternoon. That's where we find ourselves. And we have to think, I say to my staff here and some other people that we have to think outside the box to try to figure out how we move forward after COVID is gone. I am very hopeful that one day COVID is going to be gone, but its effects are going to be with us for a much longer period of time. Then how would you think, how would things look like for your graduate programs post that period? How do you want your programs to look? I told Lucio that this is a broad topic that he had given me to discuss with you. And it has multiple dimensions. It has multiple dimensions. So what I will try to do in some few minutes with you is to share some of my thoughts, and then maybe we can engage in some discussion back and forth. I have some 6 points I want to share with you as a way of engaging your mind and trying to see if we can engage our discussion on those points that you might want to consider as you look at your graduate program and how you want to internationalize them. I think the first point I want to share with you is that you can look at how you can incorporate global content into the current courses that you're already offering at your university, or in developing new courses that have global content. For us here at Appalachian, this is one of the approaches we are taking both at the undergraduate and graduate level. And there is something some of you may already have heard about this, what is called virtual global exchange or virtual global exchanges. Here you can have your faculty incorporate various aspects of global content, and we can talk about this later, and I can share with you some examples. But here you can, for example, engage with us, our graduate classes maybe, and our students collaborate on working together at a distance, and our faculty members are working together to bring those students together in a class, but they are working remotely at a distance. Your students are in Brazil and our students are here in Boone, and this could be one way. We can talk about this later if you are interested in various ways how this could work. Another way, we hope travel will resume once COVID is gone, is to maybe recruit more international students to your graduate programs. That has an effect of bringing different perspectives into your classes. International students will bring a different perspective in the classes, in your graduate classes that you teach. And you are well positioned where you are. There are several countries around you and beyond you that will be attracted to coming to Brazil and participating in some of your graduate programs. Another approach could be to send some of your students to study abroad. I know Brazil has been, before COVID and before the economic downturn, had been sending students to the US and other countries in Europe. I think that's a good thing. That broadens your students' perspective, but then the students should come back to your university and contribute something to those who are left before they graduate. So that's another way. Another approach that you could use, especially for those graduate students who are doing their thesis or dissertations, I don't know how you call it in Brazil, those students could be co-supervised by some colleagues from abroad for their thesis or dissertations. this is a good way to help your students, but also expand your capacity to bring in some different points of view in the work of the student that they are doing in their thesis and their dissertations. I think you can also look at research broadly, conducting collaborative research with your partners abroad. I know many of you are already engaged with various institutions in different countries, and you already have collaborators in different parts of the world. I think that's another way in which graduate programs can internationalize their programs. And then lastly, this is very, very doable. You can invite visiting international faculty members to come to a university and teach there or conduct research for a period of time. It could be a semester, it could be a year, it could be even a shorter period where these exchanges of faculty members bring in different perspectives to your campus, to your classes, to your students. I think this is a good approach that we at Appalachian have used. In fact, we have hosted 2 of your faculty members for a semester here some years back. I think these were faculty members in physics from your university. They came here and spent a whole semester with us, and they brought good perspective. But also, while they were here, they conducted research and published with some of our faculty members. So that's something that I think is very possible to do also on your side. I think I'm going to stop here with my comments, and I hope I've provided you something that then can help you ask questions, or we can engage in some discussion. I'll stop there, Lucio.
So, thank you, Professor. One time, a lot of people ask me about what will happen after the COVID-19 in graduate programs. If one guy asked me, Leo, do you believe that maybe the COVID-19 pandemic kill all of the internationalization and graduate program? What do you think?
My immediate response would be maybe not killed, but maybe slowed down. But I do believe that graduate programs will come up again. I think the important question, and this is a question that I've engaged with my colleagues here at Appalachian, you should ask yourself this question. Why do you want to engage? Why do you want to be globally engaged? Why do you want to be internationalized? And I think that the answers to that questions will reveal that there are things that you can actually do, even when there is no travel, for example, and even in post-COVID, where people are still going to be worried and concerned. But I don't think it requires us to stop. And then I think we have discovered in the way, for example, we are meeting here today. I think pre-COVID, we were kind of in our own, we were enslaved by a certain mindset, which has been freed during COVID, and because we had to find ways of working together even with COVID. Now, pre-COVID, I don't think you would have invited me to come to your meeting if I don't come physically. You'll have to pay for my ticket, and then I say, I don't have time to come. But now I can come for half an hour and be with you, and then be finished. And we can engage in this kind of dialogue with each other using technology. I don't think graduate programs are dead. They have been slowed down, for sure. But I believe they are going to come back up again.
Okay, so let me call all of my colleagues to see if everyone has some doubts or some points to discuss with all together. Professor Clistens? Professor Madalena?
Yeah. Please, José Henrique, put everyone on the screen.
Yes, yes. All of the international professor too? I think so, yes. Professor Emílio, Professor Valdomiro. So, does anyone have any questions to Dr. Jesse?
No, me no.
Well, I'll say something since you're looking for somebody to say something.
Sure.
Nice to meet you, Jesse Lawrence.
Nice to meet you, Lawrence.
Yeah. So your idea about, we are in this pandemic and it has kind of curtailed international activities. I know, Peace Corps as well as Fulbright, it was completely shut down, and they had to bring people back that were out, in the field in many countries. And so, that's had an impact at that level. And then university level, especially with our cooperative agreements that all of us have and especially with, with Rural. But I like the idea about, some of the possibility of global content and virtual global exchanges that could be, carried on. But I think for all of us, it was such a scramble, when everything was shut down and teaching face to face, people were just scrambling to figure out how we could do this virtually. And I think a lot of faculty, rose to the occasion to do that. Yeah. And I think we're at a better place with this technology and to maybe incorporate this kind of virtual global exchange you're sort of suggesting. And so I think that's I'm not sure how that would completely be structured going forward, but I think it's an idea that's worth embracing, and probably some of our colleagues, at Rural have done that with the different groups they're working with at different institutions and staying in contact. So,
thank you for your comment, Lawrence. And
so I think that after the COVID-19 or during the COVID-19, you have to redesign the international cooperation, because before this one, it's so simple to do mobility. It's just simple. So I can take a flight from right now, I go to West or whatever, and right now everything will be changing. So I think that everyone must to redesign the international cooperation right now.
I think you are very correct, Lucio, that in the old times pre-COVID, we were enslaved to think that internationalization and global engagement must always involve travel of some sort. Mm-hmm. I think that has changed. And it has changed in such a way that even post-COVID, what we have learned and we have started doing during COVID is not completely going to go away. We are going to continue using some of those approaches that we have used to reach out to one another and work together. I will tell you, for example, for us here at Appalachian, we have already identified areas that we are saying, we introduced this new thing during COVID. We were forced to do that. But we like it. We like some good things that have come out of it, and we want to continue this, maybe in a hybrid format. We are not going to completely get rid of some of the things that we have done during COVID.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe I can add to Dr. Lutamingua's.
Just call me Jesse, please.
Jesse, okay.
Yeah.
Jesse, I think you make a fantastic comment about a hybrid approach going forward. There's some advantages that we've learned. We just completed a symposium of women's health and cardiovascular disease, and we were able to bring in speakers that we wouldn't have been able to do, and had a very powerful symposium. And so I think there are some advantages to maintaining a hybrid approach where we can bring in people and link us across countries. and certainly I would not want to lose that.
Yeah.
I think that's just one word that simplifies everything about the internationalization, COVID-19, flexible. I think everything will be flexible after this one.
Yeah, you'll never be the same after this.
Exactly.
And I completely agree with Professor Jess that you are, going to a hybrid way of teaching and cooperating with people around the world. And these have good news too, because it's so easy to connect and it's so easy to make this kind of meeting. So you have to see some advantages in the process too.
And it opens opportunities that we never thought of before.
Yeah, sure.
For example, what Michael said is very, very important in that you can bring anyone you want to bring to your class, to your campus from anywhere around the world. Now what we have to think about is how we overcome time differences, but really things are doable now.
Okay.
You don't have to worry about
do you have
making your
some questions from the... Oh, sorry, Lawrence.
Lawrence said something, Lucio.
I was just saying, I was going to make a comment that you don't have to worry about making your airline connection.
No.
A good point.
So,
do you have questions from the audience?
What?
Do you have questions from the audience?
Maybe just, yes, it should be great if someone from audience asks us something. Let me see here. I cannot see here. English. So, does anybody can see the audience? Some questions? Okay.
Oh, here they are.
Okay. What do you think about the possible use of internet-based classes between partner graduate studies program as a means of increasing international exposure of both programs? Means of increasing international exposure of both programs. Means of increasing international exposure of both programs. What's happened? You got it, Jesse?
Yeah. So let me give you an example of some of the things that we have done here at Appalachian. Now, we have done this at the undergraduate level, but I believe that it is possible also to do at the graduate level. We are using, our faculty members are using different approaches in doing this. It works well when the class is a project-based, but it can also work well for a non-project-based class, where we have, and some of the classes have been small. So class size does matter in this case. For example, we have partners in Vietnam, Thailand, China, and Taiwan, where students are studying together during the semester, and faculty members are designing the content together and then connecting students to work in small groups. And then there are reflections and there are small lectures and students do assignments, but each faculty member grade their students. The grading and the assessment is not done virtually, but each faculty member assesses their students and they give them grade. So there are various ways in which faculty members can connect. We have also done that in another class with our partner in Belgium. This was a marketing class at the undergraduate level. I want to also say it's undergraduate level, but everything that we have done at the undergraduate level can also be done at the graduate level. I'm thinking, for example, if you take international relations classes, for example. You can have students working together and enriching each other of what is happening in different parts of the world. I will stop there.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Can you see another one?
What is your opinion about the vaccines? What is your opinion about that vaccines is on a way to continue the visit abroad for students and professors? I think unfortunately this might be true. And I will tell you why. Right now, as I speak to you, we are in the process of making decisions for whether we are going to allow our students to study abroad in the fall of this year. And as we look at different variables, and we look at things that we need to consider, certainly vaccinations is becoming an important part, and here's why. Even though in the US, in that Appalachian, we don't have a requirement for students to be vaccinated, but where students are going and the different programs that they are trying to participate in require them to be vaccinated in order to get there, either to enter the country or to participate in a program. And so we have advised our students that, okay, most likely we are going to allow you to travel abroad for your program, but if you really want to go, you may want to think about being vaccinated, because even though Appalachian State does not require you to be vaccinated, but where you are going may require you to be vaccinated in order to participate in their program. And I think it could be that we may start seeing many other countries moving in that direction. I'll stop there. That's my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And I would like to hear what others actually think about, because this is a new territory for everyone. Those of you who I can see their faces here, I'd like to hear what you think about that question.
So
I'll start again. I can say that if the Chronicles of Education, there are some universities that are going to be showing that they're mandating that students have to be vaccinated to come to campus, but most of those are private. There's only a couple that are public. And I've asked here, because of that, what will LSU do? And the LSU says they cannot require students to be, vaccinated to come back and attend classes. There's no legal, basis for that. And so, our university is moving back to come off August, face to face.
Yeah.
That's the expectation, unless there's some kind of implosion like we're seeing that's occurring in Michigan right now. And barring something like that, I think we're going back to face with, maybe certain mandates. It's sort of
it's very interesting. Different universities are using, at least here in the US, are using different strategies to strongly encourage their students to get vaccinated. I just saw here at Appalachian, this is hot from the press from yesterday. I saw an announcement encouraging students to be vaccinated. Come be vaccinated and get your lunch. Food, we discovered food always works with students. We'll see if it's going to work in this case.
Yeah.
So the dictate is not right.
Eh?
You can have free lunch, so.
Yes, exactly. But after you have been vaccinated. Michael, you are muted. We can't hear you.
I apologize. For us, the issue is that the vaccine still has only emergency use approval by the FDA, and so that's our quandary in terms of mandating it.
Yeah.
I think once it gets regular approval by the FDA, we'll be able to mandate that like we do other vaccines for students coming in. Now, our medical students and our allied health students who see patients, we actually are mandating that, or at least the clinical sites are mandating that. So
there was another question I saw, Lucio.
Tell me. Yeah.
What is your perspective about the internationalization for next year, especially in Europe? Will we be able to study abroad as Brazilians? I think the answer is yes, and then I don't know. I think there was an article today or yesterday, I forgot when I read it, on BBC. I think it's today, this morning, that, for example, the European Union is beginning to think of relaxing their requirement for traveling into the European Union. But there's a but, and this is what we were discussing before. You have to be vaccinated.
Yeah.
And so that's why I said I think people will be allowed to travel. I think the challenge we still face also in the US, and we have discussed this here at Appalachian State, regarding international students that we're going to receive in the fall. So in the US, there are only 3 vaccines that have been approved for emergency use. What happens to a student from China or from Russia who is already vaccinated, but with vaccines that have not been approved in the US? And that is a question I think that we are still trying to figure out. And I think it's going to be the question in Europe in terms of what kind of vaccines people have been vaccinated with. When they talk about, if you have been vaccinated, then you are welcome to come to our countries in Europe. And I think that's something that you Brazilians are going to face trying to go to Europe.
Maybe I can say something about Europe. For instance, in my department, the mobility in the European community is down for 10%. So we had about 60 students per year. Now we have about 6. So the mobility is very low, but it's still going on. With respect to the hybrid system, I agree that we'll have in the future a hybrid system for sure in many classes. But I think face-to-face will come back, and it will come back quite soon. In Europe, they are thinking in the end of the year that things will be more or less under control, that everybody will be more or less vaccinated, and things will be more or less back to normal. People are a bit tired of sitting in a chair for hours and hours. Some of my friends have starting to have back problems. I'm going to physiotherapy.
Right.
So this situation has to finish. People have to move around and have social contacts. Otherwise, life will not be so interesting. Although it's still possible to keep on going on in this virtual way. But I hope, and for sure, it will be not like that our future. I hope.
I want to agree with you, Yao. But I think, and this is my belief that whatever happens, and however we do things, our definition of normal has changed completely. So when you say things are going to come back to normal, I don't know what that normal is. The normal can't be the pre-COVID, for sure. That I know for sure. Our normal is going to change. We are going to have a new definition of what is normal. How does normal look like?
Professor Jesse, I wonder if that means that we will be changing our strategies for pipelines, for interactions with specific universities as well then in the future.
I think that is to be part of the equation.
Yeah.
I've already started thinking in that direction as I engage with our partners in different parts of the world. Yeah. That has to be part of the equation. Yeah.
I also wonder if, like with the agreements with the internationalization program that Plural has, I mean, it's across a lot of different programs, and I know a year ago when we were down there assessing them that, you know, some were more successful than others, and there's, you know, multiple reasons for that. So it may be that we also have to change the strategy on where we can really stay focused on what's already engaged, and where the others haven't been able to launch, they may have to be put on hold. And even those that have launched, maybe you have to focus even a little more strategically on how you want to see that go forward. Because there may be multiple, you know, you have these multiple layers of young talent, PVEs, PVNES, junior, senior. You may have to say, well, let's just focus on one of these, and then carry that out through the years, or something like that, you know.
Yeah.
But also, you know, the other thing that is to change is maybe not change, but help our faculty members and staff members to reimagine how post-COVID context looks like in engaging globally with each other. So I will give you an example. For example, I do some work in South Africa, and I co-supervise several graduate students there. But I don't travel there very often. And we are working together virtually in terms of the work that they are doing. Now there are programs that maybe can't work that way, but some actually can. For example, we have some students both in sciences and social sciences who are being co-supervised with some of my colleagues here, where they'll come here and spend maybe a month or 2 months working in the lab, trying to use our equipment here that they may not have there. And then they get the analysis and they go back and do their writing there. And so some of these things, I think we have to reimagine how we can do things once COVID is. I don't think COVID is going to be gone for sure. It's going to be like maybe a flu. I'm not in medicine, but I think it's going to be here. It's just that we have to learn to live with it.
Yeah. Well,
Lucio, you are muted.
Does anyone have more comments or questions to Dr. Jesse?
No.
So,
if you guys don't.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jesse, for your participation in this meeting. Really appreciate your participation. Thanks a lot.
I wish you all the best in what you are trying to do.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah, and I look forward to our continued collaboration with your university.
Sure, just wait for the COVID time.
Okay.
I'll be there in Appalachian State University.
Bye-bye.
Okay. See you soon. Bye-bye. Professor Clisthenes.
Thank you, Jesse. Well, now we have actually a break time, 10 minutes break time. But before that, I would like to invite our international members of the steering committee maybe to introduce briefly themselves to our audience. Or about that.
Okay. Well, maybe I can begin.
Who's the first? Who's the first?
Please.
Professor Metz.
Sure. I'm Michael Mathis. I'm the Dean for the Graduate School of Biomedical Sciences here at University of North Texas Health Science Center. The Health Science Center is composed of 5 colleges. We have a College of Medicine, a College of Pharmacy, a College of Allied Health, and a College of Public Health, and our graduate school. We have probably about 1,500 students that are across the different colleges, all professional schools, and probably about well, in our college, we have about 100 faculty and about 100 staff. And I'm directing those in a number of different initiatives. Part of our COVID response has been to develop a number of new hybrid and online programs. So we're very proud of that, and we're looking at opportunities to grow, collaborate, and build. Our research program is in the biomedical sciences, and right now we probably have about $15 million in extramural funding.
Wow.
Thank you,
That's
Professor
a
Michael.
tough act to follow. Okay, well, I'm Lawrence Tatinoff, and I'm a plant pathologist and department head for plant pathology and crop physiology within the LSU Ag Center. And in this department, we have about 14 faculty members working across a number of areas of trying to manage and control plant diseases caused by fungi, bacteria, viruses, nematodes, and other fastidious-like organisms. You know, our department's about a $2 million a year department. Half of that's state, and the other half is brought in on grants, mostly through commodity groups, some USDA, some ag chemical, private foundations. And our mandate is to bring translational research to the producers of our state. And I'd like to say that we've had a fairly long, well, I personally had a pretty long collaboration with a number of people in Brazil for almost 25 years plus. And most recently with Rural. And we have a number of faculty here that have exchanges with sandwich programs, with faculty in the phytopathologia at Rural, and you know, a number of great publications and help bring financial resources, and the exchange has broadened. And some of our faculty here have actually taught virtually down at Rural. And so, I mean, that was happening even before we came into the COVID issue. So that technology was already being well utilized. Now we're just, I think, enhancing it more. And like Mike said, and Jesse, you know, making hybrids of this that just, I don't know, in many cases makes us better. So I'll stop there.
Thank you, Lawrence. Professor João. Unmute your phone, please. Unmute your phone.
So I'm professor at the University of Coimbra. That for Portugal is quite a big university with about 24,000 students. And I'm coming from a department of civil engineering. Although I'm working mainly in hydrology, soil and water conservation, drainage networks, so that's more or less my field. So I give lectures in hydraulics, hydrology, water resources. That's my area. Presently, I'm the coordinator of the Hydraulics, Water Resources and Environment program of the University of Coimbra. And at the European level, I'm coordinator of the European Network of Experimental and Representative Basins, already for about 5 years now. I have supervised many students from many nationalities, and for already a few years now, I've been collaborating with Rural, and I had quite a lot of, I think, success collaborating with the professors there in Recife, and I'm very glad with that.
Thank you, Professor John. Once more, I would like to say how grateful you are to you guys for helping us on this whole process of UFRPE internationalization. So it's very great to have you guys here. Thank you. Now you have a 10 minutes break, so you'll be back 3:40 to start the graduate programs presentations. We will start with animal bioscience. Please, Professor Michael, Lawrence, and João will meet in another room now, that one from Google.
Okay.
Okay? You probably have the link.
Okay.
In any case, you can pass it to you here.
Okay.
Thank you again. We'll be back in 10 minutes.
Thank you, Professor Lawrence, John, and Michael.
Okay.